Hi everyone, it's me, Cersei again, and I had a ton of fun talking about Priory of the Sacred Flame and what I found fun about it. And today I ended up being lucky enough to do a duo queue with a Guildie, the tank Oh My Demon, and do a plus 14 Priory today. And I thought it would be fun to also do a healing breakdown of it, of how I play it, and the decision making that I make, as well as I made lots of mistakes in this dungeon, and to take a look at those and be like, what can I improve? And one thing that made me decide to make this breakdown is I saw the stats today, and it looks like there's only like 10% of people play keys at a plus 12 level. At a plus 12 level. And I think that's when keys start to become more fun. And I think we sort of take away from it with the I'll pause here before we get into the combat here, where there's some toxicity in M+, it seems, that keeps people away from it. Or there can be fear, concern of like, it doesn't feel good when you go into a key and people leave immediately after a first wipe, or people are going to sit and bash you, when sometimes it may not be your fault at all. And so I wanted to go through of this run breaking down how I'm healing, and hopefully be able to help some other healers out there who are looking to push into those higher key levels. I am not an expert at all but I do believe I have an understanding of how I play, and I'm always open to learn. And so I'm hoping I'm able to help other people learn as well, and be able to experience this part of Mythic Plus, which I find so much fun and so exhilarating, of being able to play the class and understand the class well enough to do things that I didn't think I'd be able to do. Like the yo-yo effect with the Arden Paladins in this dungeon. When I saw healers healing that, I thought there's no way I could do that. But I've learned, I've grown, and I've been able to figure out, oh, I can do this. So let's get started here. We're going to start with the first big pull with Bloodlust. Or the Footman. We accidentally body pulled the bottom pack, but it's only 2 extra Footmen and a Sharpshooter. It's something to keep in mind though, as okay, there's going to be extra little pot shots going out. We have to be aware of those. There's a few things for healers to pay attention to with this. The first is the Impale debuff, which comes from the Knight. It ticks pretty hard. And especially, at least in this pull, with Bloodlust, you're usually able to keep them topped without too much issue. But especially when the AoEs start going out, it's important to be aware of who has the debuff and potentially give them a few extra heals or some extra support. Otherwise, at this point, there's the first big hit. And the first one in this first pull that's done, this is a common pull of pulling that first Knight into Suleiman. And the first overlap of the Thunderclap, which we see going out here in 2 seconds, it's a pretty big hit. So you can see I'm making the decision right away to start getting hots up on everyone, because you can see here the Knight starts casting Disrupting Shout. And yes, there's a way to deal with it, but it's still another big AoE hit, and you want to get people topped in time. And so I'd rather preempt that before the Thunderclap, at least as a Resto Druid, getting those hots up. But in some other cases, it might be worth using a small cooldown or something to get people topped, like using a Thunder Focus Tea as Mistweaver Monk. Or if you really need like an Evangelism, get it on cooldown early as a Disc Priest. And then here, because the Disrupting Shout comes out, obviously make sure you aren't casting. I made that mistake before. Again. But half the health, get people topped, and here's where I can definitely improve. Everyone's pretty much topped. The biggest thing where I hold back on going cat form, because I worry about just sort of these pot shots, and I'm not fully aware of who's all getting hit. There's some over here that are shooting. And they still do decent hits. Like you can see, I go down to, I take 30% of my health from one shot. So if they're targeting multiple people or the same person, I like to make sure they're top. So instead of going and cat weaving, I make that decision. And also we have great DPS in this dungeon. Shout out to all three of the Pug DPS. They did great damage. And so, again, as I talked about in my previous video, I don't think the healer DPS matters as much. And obviously it's important. It's something I'm working to improve. But in Pugs where things can be a little bit more chaotic, I'm going to be more proactive about it. And so instead, just keeping people topped, throw out those regrowths. Here, the Thunderclap comes out. People top there. I could have used like a Convoke or something. There, that Impale comes out, and that's what you also got to worry about. You can see, okay, it takes a shot. Thunderclap takes a shot, and then the Impale goes out. That's nearly a one-shot, and so that's where in Pugs and without like the coordination of groups at the highest key levels, I'm not gonna bother going into cat form to go do damage when something that can happen that maybe I can help prevent. It would have been great as something, a learning point for me, is being aware of who that's going on to, so that way I could potentially, I have Bark Skin available. And I think if we go back, you can see, does the Knight show? Yeah, if you can see the Impale, but it does show that it's targeting the tank, so it's tough to read, so you can't actually proactively do anything about it in the same way. So you gotta just do your best to react. Takes a shot there, throw some big heals in, call it a day. Bark myself just to help not have to worry about myself from the AoE hits. Because again, the Thunderclap from Suleiman is decent, but there's definitely time to deal with it. But there you see again, the Impale and a shot. There's a shot, and before I even have time to react, our Priest goes down. And so that's just one of the situations with Knights. You really have to like, deal with that Impale, and it might be worthwhile in higher groups then obviously to have some sort of CC for the sharpshooters when the Impale is going out, so then the healer can react. So that would be something, even as a druid, maybe I could deal with, where I'm gonna go in, do an in-cap roar at that time, just so that way I make sure there's no shoot going out. And then here, as the Knight finally dies, I can start to look to do some more damage. Add in kicks on the Priest whenever I can, because there's plenty of time to heal in between the Thunderclaps if nothing else is going on. So here, keep everyone topped. We're going to get the mini-boss coming in. Make sure I get the kick, some damage in there. And it's something that I like to do where I keep everybody topped. I definitely do way too much overhealing, which I need to improve on, as I'm nearly, in this dungeon, I did like a total of 2.88 billion healing, but then I had 2.2 billion overhealing, which there's better things I can do, but again, it's that thinking of, I'd rather preempt it. I'd rather be aware and just make sure. Then there, make sure you're staying on top of kicks whenever I can. I talked about in this dungeon, casts are going to go through, especially in pug groups. And so just being ready for that. Another big bleed comes from the mini-boss here, Chainmail. So just do your best to not be grouped with other people, because I don't know why I have such a hard time with it, but if I get a debuff and other people also have it, I always prioritize them over myself, when really I should probably make sure I stay alive. Other than the tank, but in the situation the tank's going to keep himself alive no matter what. Because if I go down, then maybe something can happen, but we see later in this dungeon, it doesn't matter too much. And a big thing, especially as RDruid, which I keep working on, is having the, when I'm going to heal a target that's low, put a life bloom on them right away, just because then you get your mastery in it, even if I'm just going to spam a regrowth into them. Because I think it increases your regrowth healing by 50%. So I'd have to do the math on it, but I think it's technically better. Yeah, so we finished that the first main area there. Only the one death. The rest are going to be me in this dungeon, and this adversity I sort of got to work through. I common skip here, go between, skip through those. And then here we end up doing the big pull with another knight. As we go knight, I think it's just this pack by itself. Yeah, and I think that's fair. The impale's decent, and then the disrupting shout, and then a random holy smite going through the shots. There's a lot of random damage in this pull, and so being able to help with kicks there and just making sure when this disrupting shout goes out, having people topped, because you can see there how low I dropped right away from just having an extra random shoot go out. And if it's easy to get one shot by accident if you aren't at 100%. So there at the impale, this is a situation where I could have bark skinned again. It would be potentially smart to use an external, and as going to higher levels, that would be something I think would be important. And in that lower keys, it's just when you can know when to use your cooldowns, it feels better. Even if you don't absolutely need them. Like there I didn't need them, but it's still nice to just be like, okay, this would be a good time to use that external cooldown. Because otherwise, like I know for me when I'm on my Disc Priest, I sit with Barrier on off cooldown for mostly the entire dungeon. And I just don't use it because I don't know, is this the perfect time to use it? So I'm trying to become more aware of those kind of things. And then this pull here, there's not too much as a healer. If you have CCs, help out with them. Like there, I throw out an in cap when, hopefully when some footmen start defending. Yeah, I see a couple defends. Throw out a in cap roar. We have other CCs to deal with the rest. I missed a kick there that I could have done, but we had some caltrops get run into, which it's one of those things that people are gonna make those small mistakes, and as a healer, sometimes it's on you to sort of help counteract them. And it's a situation of like, you could go, oh yeah, you stepped in that, it's just annoying. You know, I make mistakes too all the time, frequently. And so it's nice when people have my back as well. Like in this dungeon, if people didn't have my back and used their cooldowns to pick up when I screwed up, then we probably wouldn't have timed it. And so this pull, there's 3 kicks to go out, and then other than that, it's just random damage. You can see, again, it's not unhealable without, but again, you're watching out for people being double targeted, and obviously then make sure you're kicking that greater heal when you can, if you can. And then this part, if you have some mobility casting, it can be nice, because I've walked myself into a corner. If you've watched my other video, I literally go run into the wall and have to hope I don't get hit. And again, that's just bad decision making on my end. I learned from it. I go to somewhere with more room. Yeah, here you can see the hits do hit hard from the cast, especially the dual maul fireball, so that one's definitely important to kick. If one's going to be kicked, that would be the one to not let go through. You have to let the other one go through. I mean, you can heal through it. And then this pull, not too much that's exciting here. Being aware of the Lynx jumps. Yeah, and then here we end up, our mage ends up getting a double stack. So at that point, it ends up coming late, making sure you're there on the spot healing. And again, it's just one of those things of this dungeon is, I feel, pretty big on try to keep people topped. The damage dealers will deal the damage. Don't feel like it's your role there. I was just trying to contribute of just like, okay, pot shots are going out. Let's get them reset. No damage. Doesn't matter. And then there, I think they both hit the mage, which is terrifying. And it wasn't... They didn't get a double. It must have been a different dungeon that I did. And then here we enter into the first boss. I'm not a full mana, but it's something... It's always nice when the tank asks. And yes, it's guildy. But it's always something to be aware of going into a boss and understanding how much mana you need to heal it, because there are some bosses where it's a mana game. Like Rick's Flux Flame in Motherlode, if you're not pulling a whatever does the charge shot, you're gonna be fine. And then here in this pull, the first Holy Radiance, I did some decent rolling out of HOTS, but on the first one, I'm like, I have Convoke. Let's use it. We have AMZ with it. Technically, Vampiric Embrace is also up. But for this pull, the biggest thing I always pay attention to is make sure to get that Divine Judgment off the healer or the tank as soon as possible. And then when Pierce Armor is up, just watch them. Omai is a great tank and able to sustain themselves well. So, like I had mentioned, where usually this is one where you do have to pay attention to the tank a bit more. I don't as much at this key level. And then there, just use another one of my cooldowns. I mean, why not get it on cooldown? I don't need it immediately. I'll need it later in the dungeon, but right now I'll be okay. There is downtime, and this is something in these fights to pay attention to of what does the damage intake look like. So in this fight, you know, okay, Holy Radiance is coming out. Here we got a bunch of heals. Be ready. You have Darkness go out, so I don't feel the need to use anything else. I got HOTS rolling up nice and early. I know I'm good. Here, the Divine Judgment, I know I got a Dispel, and then the Savage Mauling, so I may need to do some spot healing. But usually it gets broken pretty quick, so I don't feel too concerned. In this one, it does go pretty low. Luckily, I had a lot of HOTS rolling on the mage to begin with. But if it was on, like, the priest, for instance, I'd probably need to do a bit more work. They're not to stay in. But then at that point, after that, we know, goes out from there. At this point, after the Divine Judgment that goes out here, I have a little bit of time. I can get in a Rake, I can get in a Rip for that Holy Radiance probably, but instead I decide, let's repair. And here, I think I had planned to show, you can heal this without cooldowns and without anything. You're going to get a Mass Barrier, but I felt okay regardless. Something for if you are playing a Resto Druid, be aware of your Life Blooms. I still need to work on who to Life Bloom all the time, because it does help for your mastery, and by default, I usually put it on the tank, but at this point, I don't feel it's as important to do. And then here, I'm just slow getting Omai up. I thought I had Iron Bark available, I didn't, so here, I'm already behind. Luckily, this is where Convoke is great for me, and where this pull, you can see that I looked underprepared going into it, as here I'm already slow keeping up with the tank. I should have had HOTS rolling before I jumped in. We end up having a bit of a pull of aggro, okay, but here I'm barely starting to get I didn't have anything up, and before the Consecration's already going, here come the Sacred Tolls, and I have nothing. The first one's already being cast. Oh no. So that's where having a cooldown to help get all of the hots up is great and really nice to have. But I think I would prefer to not have that scenario. But again, just my favorite thing of just watching the health bars go down and up, and you have to get them back up in like a good time frame. This is the triple pull. There is the option, obviously, to do the quad pull, which I think it becomes necessary at higher key levels, so it pushes it a bit higher. This one, it ends up not being too bad. Like, it doesn't feel unmanageable. It was primarily because I was set up poorly that I felt I had fallen behind and there was an issue there. This one, Triple Paladin once again. Don't have Bloodlust this time, so I'm being a little bit more aware. I thought I had Convoke. Oh no. Another time where I just have to panic, but luckily I'm able to get people healed, get Convoke for that last hit. And there, get a couple stops. Alright. I was going to see if I was able to help kick that, but during these pulls it can be hard, and we ended up having 4 paladins in this one, not 3. So here, again, this is where I love this thrill, where it's like, okay, I just have to keep people alive until we're done. And now the next Sacred Tolls are already coming out. I have to make sure everything hots are rolling. Let's keep going. I should probably be wild growthing here. Instead, I'm not. I'm just spamming regrowths, which fine. Finally, I do wild growth. But it's just so much fun. And, like, again, being aware, okay, I have Convoke back up so I can be a little bit more aggressive. I can go and get a rip because I have Convoke. If I have my cooldown ready for this damage intake, I think that's key to healing. Is it's tanks. We put a lot on tanks for them to know the routes, know the poles, all of that. They have to know where skips are, and I think it's important that other roles know those as well and can help understand a route from their perspective. And as a healer, it's understanding what's going to be the damage intake at each pull. And the first area, you know, it's going to be a lot of random hits. You have Bloodlust rolling. You're watching out for the big overlaps of the Thunderclap and the Disrupting Shout. So being aware of that. And then looking to just keep health bars top to avoid any accidents, which still ended up happening. And it's just a part of the game. Like, we're not perfect people. We're going to make mistakes. We're all here having fun playing a game. Let's just enjoy it. See what we can do. And if you don't time a key, hey, it's not the biggest. It's not the end of the world. It's 30 minutes. And then, so here we get into Braunpyke. At the beginning, you have some time. I like to get the tank, like hots rolling on the tank as a resto druid. But then you have time to do some DPS there. And I believe, yeah, I start rolling out the hots because I know the big hit's coming in with the Castigator Shield. And then there, make sure I get out of it quickly so that I can get out and get some heals rolling, get people popped up. I save Convoke. I could probably have done Convoke for damage earlier, and I think it would have had it back up. But there, since I have Bark Skin, nobody else wanted to take it. Not the biggest deal. I can take it there. Right, this one's the 5. So I know with this one, there's going to be a lot of burst damage. We're not going to have the stack, so I don't have to worry. But I want to get people topped up just in case like those extra hits go out. The DK does end up getting 1 stack, but 1 stack's not the biggest deal to heal on a DPS. And so honestly, I'm able to spend most of the time dealing damage. Here I get unlucky, and oh no, not this one. It's a future one. Much later. Then here, it's another 3. I recognize I have Bark Skin back up. So you know what? I'm capable of healing with this. Get out of there. A quick little Swift Mend. And then, yeah, I go take it with Bark. And then just definitely it's important on this boss, if tanks can definitely take 2 stacks without like a ton of issue, but it's just nice to watch them a little bit and just help out, because if a mistake gets missed in the rotation or something, it can be slightly scary during that time. And there's nothing else to heal if it's just you with 1 stack and them with 2. And here again, we have the DK take it, so I have Convoke once again. I have it planned out for every 5, I have a 1-minute CD. And so you can do this, look at your class and know what you want to have for it. If it's like a Thunder Focus T, if it's, oh, and here's where, you know what? These things happen sometimes. And I just, nothing I can do. And then I make a terrible mistake to follow it up, where I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't have taken that res right away. And these are the mistakes where luckily the team's able to cover my slack. I don't think they needed to clear this, but they do anyways. They ended up clearing it in time. Not a big deal, but because of my mistake, our DH loses Last Resort, and it's just 2 deaths in 30 seconds that we didn't need to lose. And the first, obviously, not really much I could do about that, so you deal with it and you move on. Yeah, like those are going to be the things that come about. That's where I don't take it. I'm not going to get upset when things go wrong. There's so much to learn, and you know, even if somebody else did make a mistake, like, you know, I could say, oh man, the group, if they wiped, I'm like, why did you go clear that when you didn't need to? But you know what, they thought it was good to, and you know what, they ended up doing it anyways. And even if we wiped, it would be like, yeah, you know what, that was my fault. I'm going to focus on what I could do better. And in that case, it's not take a res right away. Then here, the same sort of damage profile. So at this point, there's only 2 paladins, and it's pretty easy to heal at that point, knowing you only have to get people to like 60-70%. So it's not the same sort of rush when you know you're going to have back-to-back Sacred Tolls going out. This is where it does start to change, though, where you add in the light spawn. I talked about the light spawn of, it's this focus spot healing. This dungeon actually wrecked my day. I looked at the damage taken afterwards, and I took 150 million damage from Purification, and the next highest was 30 million. So the light spawns just had it out for me after I talked positively to them. And then there, you know what, I had the moment, get the extra kick. Ice Colds on the person with Purification. And this is where, if some add-ons can be very beneficial, to like help know, oh hey, people are using their defensives here, I don't need to watch them as much. And then again, another Purification comes my way, and I just hope for the best. And then here in Priory, it's important to be aware of the footmen. When they die, just knowing that that extra burst is going to come out, and it can overlap with some things that aren't going to go well. Here, going to this bowl. Not too much for me to worry about. I think I could have jumped in a little bit earlier, but there, another Purification, so swap out, keep it out. And there, I believe we let some casts go through. No? I just want to see where the damage came in from. Fine. Yeah, so there we got the silence. I don't have to worry about casts going off for the time being. But again, I get another Purification. And I Iron Bark late. I probably could have early, but I at least have Bark Skin back. And I'm able to keep the Mage Chopped without too much issue. And as things get higher, it becomes rough. And again, another one. But this time I at least have Bark Skin, able to keep myself going from there. But it is important to, like, I notice it when there is this big spot healing your mana depletes way quicker. And it's because you have to keep spamming into it. Like, I end up just taking an extra tick, which I shouldn't have changed the spam regrowths. I thought I had time to cast something else, and I made the mistake. And again, that's something that I need to work on, of being like, oh no, this damage intake is still coming. I need to like just plant at that point and be inefficient with the spells. So I was like, okay, you know what, maybe I can survive with a little, and then Hots will heal me back up, because I know we're going into a high healing check for this next pull. And here, it's just something, again, it happens in pugs, even at a 14, and so like at any key level, it's gonna happen. This group, pretty good with kicks, except for this one. Here, both Holy Smites are going on to our DK. Neither one gets kicked. In this situation, it's tough for me to be like, oh yeah, you know what, I can get that kick, and I think that's okay. But it's just something then, you know what, you're gonna have to react to it. Boom, they drop. They end up being able to help with the anti-magic shell. And we're able to get kicks. I'm able to add one in there because I feel now that Hots are rolling, I feel more secure. There, the greater heals go out, and I just pop Trank early, get things on cooldown. It gets Convoke. I end up getting like 20 seconds back on Convoke, which is great to use again. Here again, double Holy Smite goes out, and I think we have the stops available to deal with that. But again, it's going to be that way. And then again, things freeze for me. I don't know why this happened twice in this dungeon. So I am just spam regrowthing and hoping it's actually going out. And luckily it is, and we don't wipe, and I have Convoke to help get things stabilized once again. Nothing I could really do about it. We got a Darkness to help keep things alright. Yeah, from there, stabilize, push through, keep things simple. We only have the one Priestcaster now, so we should be able to get those kicks. But again, has to go through. Not a big deal. We're always good on the greater heal, which is nice, which I'm happy about. And then it's just a little extra, like 30% hit. It's like a heal or two to get that top back up. Obviously, it can feel like it takes longer when you're at a lower gear level, but I feel also the hits also aren't going to be as big at that point. So here, this pull, again, it's a big thing of, you know, the footmen at this level, they do explode for a lot. You don't have to worry about it as much on like lower key levels, but just being aware, oh yeah, there's going to be a big hit. And the thing I like to pay attention to when I'm healing is, okay, there's going to be a big hit. What do I have to pay attention to after? And here, because I mentioned in the last video, I forgot to put Typhoon on my bars. Get it there, because Typhoon can help interrupt the explosion, which I actually pull off, and it feels pretty good. So there, I'm literally waiting for it. I just want to get one. Boom. No damage. Feels good. Here, they, again, having a tank that's paying attention helps, but it's important for me to be like, you know what, if I recognize I need mana, or I don't feel sure about my mana percentage, don't be afraid to say, hey, I just need a quick drink. We still time this key and another purification goes on me. Luckily, I'm aware of it enough by this point to know to just instantly bark myself. We end up still timing this key by 2-3 minutes. So if you need to pause for a drink, take those 5 seconds. Take those 5-10 seconds. It's usually going to be okay, and it's better than a wipe. And for anyone else, just like, be okay with that. Honestly, you don't need to be at 100, but pay attention to like how much mana you use in a fight, So that way, when you do it again, you can be like, okay, you know what? I only need 50%. You don't need to stop for me. And more often than not, you don't need to be at 100. Like, I go into this fight at, I think, yeah, like 70%. And I'm not too concerned. I know I'm not going to use it. I took the drink because there was time for me to do it. Also, I feel it's somewhat known, but if you need food and you don't want to keep buying food, go into a follower dungeon as a healer and you get free mage food. And you don't need to worry about there being a mage in your group. On this boss fight, obviously the big thing to pay attention to is the blinding light and the inner fire. Those are the two sources of damage. Inner fire goes out, it's this constant ticking AoE, which we'll start to see the hits go out. Boom. And then there it's with this blinding light, which can be, it draws people low, and that's where I hurry up to get people topped in case they're going to take an extra hit from that purifier. They're going to get hit by the Holy Flame. Holy Smites, honestly, I don't feel do too much. Obviously, don't stand in the Holy Flame. But otherwise, just have healing for these inner fires. Keep people roughly topped, and then be aware of when blinding light goes out. Here again, it's everybody's responsibility, but if you're able to help out with it, pay attention to what tools you have as a healer. First, I get everybody pots rolling, get everybody topped, feel secure in where we're at, and use my CC. I have an Ursul's Vortex, help it out, but I don't think ahead, and I don't use a Typhoon or anything else, and I get wrecked. Those neophytes deal a ton of damage. I think I got hit for like 5 million damage, so you get hit twice, you're dead. And I don't know how the Shadow Priest healed me. It must be an engineering. But they get the res out. I'm able to, I use Trank right away. This big thing of understand what feels stable and then push that limit. Like for me, I'm still understanding what feels stable, especially at these higher keys. Of like, okay, you know what, we're going to be good at this health level. But right now I'm going to go over, and then over time be like, okay, I'm going to try taking away this bit here, and then if I need to add it back in, I will. But until I try it, I'm not going to get better at my role and understanding what I need to do. And so yeah, that was Prior of the Sacred Flame 14, and I'm really happy I got to complete it. It felt really good. I was the King of Deaths with 4 of them. I think I go through them here in a second just to take a look at what the heck happened to me. Like, shout out to all the DPS and my guildie, the Demon Hunter, on a great run there. So here, just looking through at the deaths. The first one, this is what I talked about, where being aware of the damage intake, where you know there's going to be random hits of damage. And to proactively deal with those, you're looking to keep people at a respectable level where you feel stable, where you know if things do get doubled up, you're able to deal with it. Like here, it was unfortunate, but like I had regrowths, I had life bloom, I had rejuvenation, but there's nothing you can do about a whole health bar being gone in 0.3 seconds. It's just the reality. I knew the impale was out and I kept them at 100%, and there was still nothing I could do. And that's where then you start looking into other ways of helping with it. Of, oh, you know what? That's a spot where if I know the impale came out and I know there's going to be a lot of random shots going out, maybe it's worth putting the iron bark out there, or like a pain sup, or even a life cocoon if you really need, as like a mist weaver. I'm trying to think of what else is available. I don't know if stone bulwark helps as an external. Yeah, and just doing what you can there. Those are going to happen. Don't get frustrated with it. Have your computer not lag out. That's always nice. Otherwise, you end up being crushed by a Hammer of Purity. And again, then going in where I panicked. I'm not going to lie about it. I fully panicked, and I just took the res as soon as possible, being like, oh no, let's not wipe here. I really want to time this key. I don't want to be responsible. Like, at the end, I wouldn't blame anyone, but I don't want to feel like I let everybody down. And I took it right away. I wanted to get back up when I should have noticed, okay, I'm going to res right into a shield at half health. I'm going to die. And that's what happened. Barely. I took 500k overkill. It is what it is, and they finished it out, and props to them. And then finally, this is where I should have been... I had casted a regrowth. I should have still been spamming regrowths. Like this one, healed for a ton. Why did I choose to stop? And that's something I'm reviewing now as I think about it of, why did I think I was okay? I knew there was 2 more ticks. I knew there was this one, and I knew there was this one. But I wasn't at that point of security, and this is where I tried it. I thought it'd be okay. I wasn't. But now I know for next time that, you know what, I just need to respect the purification. And I need to, if I overheal it, I overheal it. And you learn to respect what abilities come out. Yeah. And then finally, this is where I just took... I love seeing all the last 4 just being me. But it happens. And then here you can see I took 2 hits from the neophytes. Sorry, only 4.5 million. And then, yeah, this one also being 4.5. With the AoE going out as well, you're not going to survive. And there's 2 ways to deal with that on that boss. Run to the back of the room. They're usually, I don't think they can actually survive if you go to the back of the room. And unless you're like a Mistweaver monk where you have to be in, you can usually back off a bit and then kite them until they die, hopefully. Or in my case, why didn't I just Typhoon? I have the capability, use it. Right. And that's where I can always look and be like, oh, why aren't other people CCing? I'm able to get better, so why not? Yeah, that was Priory of the Sacred Flame 14. I hope that if you've got to this point that you've been able to learn something, and hopefully I get to see more people having fun in Mythic Plus, and hopefully everyone just having a fun time. Thank you for listening in, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.